And the great thing is being able to record this and then load it to YouTube afterwards. So that way everybody not on Facebook, like the Twitter crowd, they can see it.
Awesome.
Okay. Give this a second here. Hopefully, oh, it's actually going to do it this time. Sometimes it just doesn't. So, all right, we are live with Beryl Hudson. My name is Amanda Finley. I started COVID-19 Long Haulers Discussion Group. So, Beryl, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, as you said, my name is Beryl Hudson. I am self-employed as a disability advocate. My business name is Beryl Hudson Disability Advocate Service. We've been in business since 2016, doing our best to assist those in need that need help with navigating the disability system through the Social Security Administration. It can be very challenging, as you know. So we do what we can as advocates to assist those in need. I love what I do. I have to say that I love what I do, and I love being able to help those in need, if at all possible.
You're good at it. You're great at it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our last town hall with you really sparked, it really gave everybody a good idea of what to expect, what things we should look for, look out for. So thank you for coming back. Well, let's get started. I have a question from Minnesota. Are there resources for assistance with applying for SSDI in Minnesota? And is this available in other states? How can we find state-specific assistance, or is that a thing?
I would say more it's not state specific, because any disability advocate or any disability attorney from any state can help other disability clients. So it doesn't matter what state you live in. You can reach out to any disability attorney or disability advocate for assistance. They can help even if they don't live in that state. And there are lots of us out there. Of course, I'm going to push more for the advocate, because I just believe a disability advocate is going to give a potential client much more than a disability attorney might, because they're invested. They're with that client from the beginning to the end, and they interact, of course, more as they go along with the client than an attorney. But it's quite easy to find a disability attorney or advocate, no matter what state you live in.
What are some good resources that we should turn to in finding it? Besides, of course, we can Google and that, but are there any resources you can think of?
Social Security is a resource, because they have a list of disability advocates and attorneys that they recommend or can refer to you. SOAR is another resource. They can refer you to disability advocates and disability attorneys in your area. And a lot of times, a lot of my clients just Google disability attorney or disability advocate. And what will happen is it'll populate based on the popularity of that disability advocate or attorney. So there are many ways to find someone to help you.
And that segues into a question that I received. Let me scroll down here. Has the program SSI or SSDI Outreach, Access, and Recovery, or SOAR, been any help for those applying?
Well, in my experience, I would say definitely. I mean, I've gotten a lot, I won't say a lot, but quite a few referrals from SOAR. And SOAR is a good source for those who may have be dealing with a homeless issue or mental issues, because a lot of those people, they don't have access to a phone or a permanent address and things like that. So SOAR really can jump in there and be the agent for them, because most of what Social Security does is done by mail. They don't deal a lot with people over the phone. And if you don't have an address to have something mailed to, that's going to present a problem. So SOAR is a good, a good agent for that, for people to be an adversary, not an adversary, an advocate in a way for disability clients. So I think they're a fantastic organization, and they're doing a lot of good, and they're getting a lot of people educating those who may be in those situations, with directing them and showing them what they need to do, and submitting that paperwork that's necessary for them, because they may not have access to a fax or telephone or things like that. And when you're dealing with Social Security, that's the way that you submit, needed information. So I would
Yeah,
say SOAR is a great source. Yes.
that's great to know. I personally have been through that experience of being homeless and not having access, having the papers that I had rained on and destroyed, having to get them again.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, that's a wonderful resource. And I personally also found the clinic where I get my long COVID care. They also have a behavioral health program, and I have a case manager through that who's
Mhm.
helped me through other disability applications, other social services.
Mhm.
So that's another. It's a great place to lean into.
It is a really good place. And the thing about SOAR is, I mean, a lot of people are daunted when they see that disability, whether it's SSI or SSDI, they see that application like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm already dealing with my impairments. I'm already dealing with maybe homelessness or lack of funds. I don't feel like dealing with this. And one thing SOAR does for those potential disability applicants is they will help them complete that disability application. And I think that's awesome.
Huge. It is huge.
Mhm. It
I
is.
Yeah, I can't tell you how wonderful that service was for me.
Mhm.
I can do all these things for other people, but man, when it comes to myself, it's a
Oh,
mountain.
different story, right? Yes. Yeah. And you want to know, you want to do it right also. And
Yes.
sometimes you're not sure of, certain questions that might be asked on that application. You're not sure, should I answer it this way? Or, you may have underlying circumstances that may affect that answer in a negative way. SOAR again is a good resource to use because they can kind of guide and direct you on the best way to answer a particular question.
Oh, that's wonderful to know. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yes.
Here's a great question. Once you are approved for SSDI, can you lose it?
Yes, you can. You can lose your SSDI. You can lose your SSI also. Hopefully everyone knows the difference between SSI and SSDI. If not, I'll tell you real quick. They're both forms of disability through Social Security. SSDI is Social Security Disability Income. That is disability that's paid to those people who have worked and paid into the system over time. It's disability that you've earned. And then you have SSI, which is Social Security Income, which is considered a welfare form of disability for those people who have not worked, who are disabled, who need to apply for disability benefits. It's the same concept, but it just comes out of different pools.
Okay.
Um, and yes, as I said, yes, you can lose your disability, Social Security disability. Disability means that you are unable to work and that disability is going to last for 12 months or longer, or that it's going to end in death. If you get to a point where you're able to start working again, uh, there is a possibility that Social Security will stop your disabilities, or if your disability gets better, you may get better from your disability. There is a stipulation with Social Security where you can work part-time and still get your disability, but they have limits on the amount of money you can make and the number of hours that you can work a week. Here in the state of Georgia, it's 25 hours a week, no more. And I believe this year it went up to $1,470 a month gross that you can make monthly in income. If you go over that, it can affect your disability benefits also.
That's very good to know. Let's see. Oh, I just closed out the app. I was checking for questions. Oh my gosh, where'd it go? Okay. This one is more about short-term disability, but I'm going to throw it out there anyhow. It might be beneficial to get an idea. I'm approaching the 2-year mark on my long-term disability. My insurance carrier sent me a letter saying they need a doctor of theirs to evaluate me and suggest vocational rehab or alternate work options with the intention to kick me off disability after 2 years and push me into a lesser job. Does it make sense to engage an advocate or a lawyer at this point? Do you know if COVID has been classified uniquely from a disability standpoint?
Okay, the first part of that is they're talking about disability, it sounds like through their employer.
Yes.
Okay.
which is
Um,
different.
and it's very different. It is completely different, and it's very specific to the employer, to the third party insurance company that the employer is using. So it's going to be very difficult for me to answer that question. I would say if you are on long or short-term disability through your employer and you believe that you're going to be disabled for 12 months or longer, you really want to go ahead and apply for your Social Security disability. It's not going to affect that long-term or short-term disability you're getting from your employer, but hopefully you'll be able to get approved for Social Security disability, and it will kick in if that long or short-term disability from your employer stops. Would I get an advocate at this time? I definitely would get an advocate or an attorney to help me start that process through Social Security, because you don't want there to be a gap. I mean, I'm sure it's a family. This is a family that, needs the income.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be a gap where all of a sudden after a year or two that that third party insurance company stops your disability. What are you going to do? And you're still disabled and not able to go back to work. Because they may say that, you're able to go back to work, but your doctor's saying, no, you can't. And what are you going to do? If you go ahead and file for your Social Security disability, at least you have that process started. So hopefully, they'll approve you for your disability so there's not a gap in your income, in your monthly income coming in. So
Yeah,
I would
and
say definitely get an advocate or an attorney and file your disability claim with the Social Security Administration.
would you say start sooner rather than later, given the length of
Definitely,
time?
I would have already started as soon as that person knew that they were going to be on disability through their employer and knew that it was going to be long term. Because short-term disability normally is like 3 to 4 months. After that, usually your employer will tell you if you're going to be out longer than that, you need to go ahead and file for your Social Security disability. So I would say it should have been done. If you haven't done it already, do it now.
Yeah.
Definitely, yes.
Then how long does the disability process take?
Through Social Security, it takes a while. There are several stages in the disability process. Each there's the initial stage where you file your application and you submit it to Social Security. That can last anywhere from 4 to 6 months. And I'll say this also, with this pandemic that we've just gone through, it's been even longer.
Yeah.
It can be, I had one client that it was over a year before they got out of that initial stage.
Wow.
Because everyone's working from home at the Social Security Administration, and there's not that sense of urgency anymore. I don't have a boss looking over my shoulder, make sure I get my work done. I'm at home, I'm kicked back in my own office, so it's slowed up a lot. But it's picking back up now since the offices are opening back up again. But the initial stage is 4 to 6 months. If you get denied at the initial stage, they give you 60 days to appeal that decision. And that next stage is called the reconsideration stage. So you're asking Social Security, I think you made the wrong decision. I need you to look at this again and let me know, and approve me. I'm disabled. And then again, that's another 4 to 6 months to get a decision. So that's already a year right there
Yeah.
that you're waiting if you don't get approved. Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, you could get denied again. And that next stage is the hearing stage, which is where most people get approved. If they're going to get approved, they're going to get approved at that stage. It's because you're sitting before a judge and you're presenting your case either by yourself, which is not the best idea,
Daunting.
or presenting having an attorney or an advocate fight your case for you. And your chances increase greatly at that stage. And I always tell people, I know it's a long process. I know at the initial stage, it's like 65-70% of people are denied, probably more than that. But your chances increase at the hearing stage. And people say, that's a long time to wait. Yeah, it is a long time to wait, but you're going to be waiting anyway. So why not file for your disability and go through the process and see if you can get disability if you are indeed disabled and no longer able to work.
Yeah, and I think one factor that we're starting to finally hear more about in the news is how the labor force has been affected by long COVID quite dramatically.
Yes.
So that also means people working in Social Security they're being affected as well. So we just don't have, we're missing chunks of our workforce out there,
We
including,
definitely, yes,
so
definitely, definitely. I mean, we know how the pandemic
yeah,
affected so many, many things. I mean, I was very challenged with clients, it's, even long haulers who were having to wait so long. And you're exactly right. A lot of people got COVID. A lot of people, and there were people that had long haulers also, and it took people out of the already an area in our government that lacked enough people working. So you take out these other people, and it's going to slow that process down even more, which it did. And
yeah,
like I said, it's picked up some in the last few months. I've
oh, that's
noticed
good.
decisions coming down quicker, but it's still not the way it was before. It's not up to that level yet. But I think by the end of the year, things will pick up even more than they have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yes, I do too. I do too. Because have a lot of clients out there waiting for decisions, and their livelihoods depend on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a lot, and it really, if we've learned anything from this pandemic, it's that anyone can be affected. Anyone can lose everything. It doesn't
Yes.
take much.
I,
You
I
too can
agree.
live in a tent.
I agree. Yes, you're exactly right.
So the next question, what should a person do while they try to hang on to their job to prepare for when they have to resign or get pushed out? I'm having issues getting accommodations at work, and many medical specialists suggest trying a slower paced career. I'm not sure if this question would apply, but I do have disability insurance for the moment. And thank you for all you do, Meryl.
Thank you. That's a great question. Again, that is a specific question,
Yeah.
and it's talking about disability through their employer. Um, my thing is this: I know it's a difficult call to make, but if you get to a point where you feel like you cannot work anymore, you file for your disability. I mean, you work for that money. You have
Yeah.
people out there that have worked their whole lives, 20, 30 years, and all of a sudden they get sick and can't work. And by continuing to work and you're ill, you're making it worse on yourself physically, psychologically, mentally. So my suggestion again would be to go ahead and get your short-term disability. Once that is expired, get your long-term disability through your employer and apply for your Social Security disability benefits. Of course, you're not gonna be working, and that's one of Social Security stipulations. You can't work and get your
Yeah.
disability, but at least you would be getting some income from your employer.
Yeah, that's really crucial, and it's such a tough call. You have to work, but you can't work because if you don't have some kind of income, what do you do? It's
It's a
really,
it's a hard call. It's a hard
yes,
call, but are you going to get better by continuing to work? That's the thing. I mean, is
yeah,
it something, is it a disability that's going to continue? I think a lot of times people look at disability and, sometimes you just don't feel like going to work and you don't go to work. That's not
uh,
disability. Disability means that
no,
I'm too sick to work. I can't do it. And if you get to that point, you owe it to yourself and your family and those, who you're responsible for to get your disability benefits. I mean, you've earned them, you deserve them, go out and get them, file that application.
yeah,
And of course, I'm going to suggest again, you know, I've been working as a disability advocate for many years with a very prominent disability attorney here. Some years ago, 2016, I went out on my own. And I tell clients the same thing that I said before. The time's going to pass by. If you're disabled, don't
exactly.
wait on filing that claim. We know it's a long process. The quicker you file, the quicker you're going to have a decision on your claim. And if you don't file, that same bit of time is going to pass by anyway. So you might as well go ahead and file your disability claim.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think
And-
it's also really important. One industry that's been impacted very heavily is the healthcare industry, of course,
oh, yes.
where we have our frontline workers who have gotten COVID, who are now disabled, or maybe they're still trying to hang in there with what they've got, but it really becomes a liability issue as well, where say, especially with some of the cognitive issues we deal with, there's a big difference between a
Exactly.
milligram and a microgram. It can become a danger. So, but again, it's a very tough, very personal call, just on a case by case basis. So,
It is, and it's, like you said, it's a personal decision. You have to make it for you, but you have to wonder if you're trying to go to work and you're working and you're that ill, how much of a contribution are you making to that position that you're working in? If you're that sick that you feel like you can't work, are you doing the best job you can do for your employer? Also, you have to look at it like that too.
yeah.
And also, when you're sick, it affects everything around you,
Yes.
not only your employer, but your family, yourself, your family, your employer. So you have to like you said, you have to make a judgment call. No one answer is the best for everybody. So you have to look at yourself individually and make that decision on
Yeah.
whether you should leave your job and seek seek disability.
Yeah. And of course, nobody needs to wind up on the streets. It's a difficult situation. We
It's
don't
a,
have the
it's,
supports.
it really is. And, I can't even tell you how many clients I have that are homeless
Yeah.
for one reason or another. Maybe at one time they might have had family members or friends that was helping them. And because the disability process is so long, even if you have money saved
It
and you don't
goes.
have any coming in, it's gonna slowly go away.
Yeah.
So you have to end up depending on family and friends to help you. And after 6 months or after 9 months or after a year or two, that gets old. And family might not be so quick to help you, and friends might not be so quick to help you, and you do end up on the streets. And that's the sad part about it. So you do have, I understand you do have to look at those things. But I just feel like, bottom line, it's your money, you work for it.
Go get it.
There was a point when you were healthy and you could work and you could contribute to society and you could contribute to your family. But now it's your turn and you need some help. So
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. That's what it's there for. It is there for that.
That's what it's there for, whether it's SSI or SSDI, that's what it's there. It's my turn. I need somebody to help me,
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? We
Yeah.
take turns in life. And now it's your turn. You need some help. So go after it.
Exactly. Okay. And this one really gets to the crux of the situation that many of us are facing. Why is it still so hard to receive disability for those of us that are long haulers as well as dealing with other issues? I've been denied 5 or 6 times now, including the appeals, and it seems never ending after 2.5 years. I have children to support, but I'm unable to work. Meanwhile, others that are long haulers are approved. Why are some considered and others aren't? Mine was denied for my age. Is there anything else I should be doing to get approved? It's hard.
My first question would be, how do you know it was denied for your age? And my second question would be, what age are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I, my opinion is the disability process is set up to deny, to get rid of those who truly don't have a disability. Because if you look at the disability process, at the initial stage, you're waiting 4 to 6 months. That's a long time. And say you're denied. People who are not disabled, truly disabled, are probably going to say, oh, forget it. I'm not going to fool with it anymore. I'm not going to file an appeal. And they'll go on. So that gets rid of a group of people. But people who are truly disabled are going to file that appeal and they're going to fight for it. Okay, they might get denied again. Government's trying to filter out those who don't need that disability or who don't deserve it. I would ask that person, they said they've appealed 4 or 5 times. That tells me one thing, that they've had more than one case, because there's no way you could file an appeal 4 or 5 times for one case. You go through the initial stage, the reconsideration stage, the hearing stage, and the appeals council. So they must have had a previous claim. I would have to look at their documents, their medical information from their treating physicians to know exactly why they were denied. In addition to that, I would say in the last 2 years dealing with, I mean, I can't even tell you how many long hauler clients I've gotten from your site. I mean, so many.
Wow.
Initially, it was a struggle trying to get, even after Biden passed his law, but it was a struggle to get an approval. I've seen a tremendous turnaround. I mean, I've been getting them. We've been getting approved for those clients because Social Security is recognizing it's not. COVID long haulers is still not listed as an impairment that Social Security recognizes, like Parkinson's disease or certain cancers and things like that. But because of the numerous people that are coming before them with all these underlying conditions because they had COVID long haulers,
Yep.
I'm getting them approved.
That's great.
So
It's
I'm getting them
horrible. It's
approved.
great.
But I would say to that person, do you have representation? That would be my first question to them. You need, when you go to the doctor, you listen to the doctors. You go to the doctor because the doctor's the expert. It's the same way with a disability advocate or a disability attorney. We know the inner workings of the Social Security Administration. We know what we have to do and when we have to do it. Your chances of winning with an advocate or an attorney increase greatly as opposed to doing it on your own. I mean, the judges even tell you, like if a person goes in the hearing room and they don't have representation, the judge will ask them I would say 99% of the time, don't you want to get some representation?
Yeah.
We'll postpone your hearing while you seek representation. That's how important it is to have somebody speak for you, because we speak the same language. We know what to do. So I would suggest to that person, if they don't have a disability advocate or an attorney, they get one. And their chances of winning would increase greatly. And secondly, medical treatment. The more medical treatment you have, that's your evidence.
Yeah.
It's like in a criminal case, you go before the judge, they call witnesses to sit on the stand to speak to your innocence or guilt. It's the same thing with a disability claim. Your medical records are your evidence. The more evidence you have, the better your chances are of winning. If you go in there and you haven't gone to the doctor in a year, I mean, are you, the judge is going to say, or I'm going to say, are you really ill? And I know sometimes it's hard to get the medical treatment because you don't have the money, you don't have insurance. Yep. But there are sources out there, that you can work with to get that medical treatment that you need.
Yeah, there are at least ways to get it documented.
And that's the important thing right there.
Yeah. And just really quick, we touched on this in the last town hall, but I think it's really important to bring this up again. What is the difference between a disability advocate and a disability attorney?
A disability advocate did not go to law school. That's the first thing. We have not gone to law school. For me, I do have a master's in business services administration. A disability attorney has gone to law school and has passed the bar. For me, the main difference between a disability advocate and a disability attorney is the disability advocate is engaged with the client from the time that they call into that office until that claim is settled. An attorney has a case manager or somebody else working with the client on a daily basis or regular basis. But the disability advocate is going to be most time the one that pick up the phone when you call, as opposed to, an assistant or somebody like that. So I think a disability advocate has more of a customer service relationship, a more interpersonal relationship with the client than a disability attorney does.
Another thing, I want to throw this out there as well. Some people are concerned about how much it's going to cost them. They might not know how the system works. Can you explain that?
Yes. Social Security sets the fee for disability advocates and attorneys. They all make the same fee. It is 25%, it used to be 25% or $6,000, whichever is less. That comes out of the back pay that the claimant receives. If they don't win the case, they don't get paid anything. Last November, that had been the fee since 2009, 25% or $6,000. In November of 22, it went up to 25%, or 7,200, whichever is less. And it also comes out of the back pay when a person is approved for disability. But like I said, if we don't win the cases, we don't get paid.
Yeah.
And there's no upfront fee involved at all. And Social Security is the one that pays us. It is not the client responsibility to do that. Social Security takes care of that.
And I think that's a really important detail for people to know, that we know you're financially struggling. This is not a barrier to the service.
Right. And that I get that question. I mean, I would say every client that calls in, they ask that question. Well, how could I pay you? And when they find out that there's no money due up front, it's like an exhale for them, because, of course, I'm disabled. I'm not able to work. How am I going to pay you? So they don't have to worry about that. It's paid by Social Security at the end. And then once they find out we don't get paid if we don't win the case, that kind of helps them exhale a little bit more, Yes. So our goal, that motivates us. That helps us too, because we want to win. Not only do we want to win for our clients, but we want to win because this is our business and this is how we get paid too. So, it's a win-win situation for us.
It really is.
And one thing about me, and I want to say this, I don't, you have these disability companies, and I'm not going to say any names, but you have these disability companies that or they'll take every client that calls in, no matter, if you call in, you want to file for your disability, we'll take it as a client. I will not do that. If I don't feel like I can win the case for you, I don't take the case, because I don't want to give a person a sense of false hope. I want them to know that how I feel about it based on my experience working as an advocate, that I feel that you have a great chance of winning. So that kind of helps them feel better about, that they feel better about their chances of winning if they know that I have faith in, what they're going through and them trying to win.
And I think
so I wish that.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I forgot what I was going to say. No, it's okay.
Well, no, I really think it also speaks. It really speaks to the fact that they know that you are going to focus on this case. You're not so overwhelmed with other cases that maybe are not winnable in this situation. You are going to focus on that, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I think that's another difference between a disability advocate and an attorney, actually. We're passionate about helping our clients, and we're just not going to just take a client just for the numbers. We take a client because we want to help them and we want them to get approved for their disability.
Yeah, and it sometimes is going to take a bigger team for some cases. I can see that as well. But
yes,
it's complex. There are no concrete answers, but
there are not. And I mean, I think each individual has to, for me, I think the client has to have a connection with the advocate or the attorney. I really do. There has to be something there that makes them feel comfortable enough. Because I mean, you're putting a lot into someone when you ask them to take your disability claim and see if they can get you approved. So you have to have that connection with that person also. I think that's really important.
And one thing, and I made a mental note of this as well with our last town hall. You had mentioned that it's very important to put as much as you can into this, as much supporting documentation into this. And there may be some very intimate details that you might be less comfortable in sharing, but it really matters when you're taking this for a disability claim.
It does really matter. I know a lot of times when I'm interviewing clients before we go to hearing, they'll say, well, I don't want to share this particular bit of medical information with the judge, or I don't want anyone to hear this particular part about what's going on with me. But I always tell them that's proving that you're disabled. I know it's embarrassing, but you're going to have to deal with it for a little bit of time, because we need our goal is to prove to the judge or prove to Social Security that you are disabled. And these particular factors that you might not want to share are things that contribute to your disability. So they need to be known. because the goal of all of this is for you to get your disability. So by by whatever means necessary, you need to share that information. But a lot of times that, people can be embarrassed about sharing those things. I agree. But in the end, what's the goal?
Yeah.
To get your disability because you need it and because you deserve it.
And that thing that you're hesitant about, that's why you need it.
Yes, right. Exactly. And people worry about, a lot of times I'll have clients who I'm gonna get emotional and I'm gonna cry when the judge asks me, so cry. That's what I tell them, cry.
Yeah.
If it's a legitimate emotion, if you legitimately need to cry, because it's a lot to go through. I could tell you some stories about clients that I've dealt with. It's a lot to go through, but that's part of the disability. This disability has caused me to be this way.
Yeah.
And you need to share that. That's evidence right there. And it needs to be shared. Yes.
Yeah. So here's another one that is more specific to work, but we might have some context here to provide at least a direction. I was denied approximately 3 weeks of short-term disability pay. It was the 3 weeks previous to my return back to work date. Unum decided I was able to work prior to that date based on my mental health, but not on my physical health. They said they would send me something so I could appeal, and that was on Monday, but I have not seen anything. Is this common to release people from short-term disability payments before their doctor says they are able to go back to work?
I would hesitate to answer that question, to be honest with you, Amanda, because it's talking about employer, short-term disability through your employer, and that's not my area of expertise. So my suggestion would be to contact the third party insurance company that they're going through for the short-term disability and speak with them about that. Because each employer buys a package from a short-term disability company, and they're very specific on how and when they do certain things. So to understand that and to know which way to go, I would suggest they contact them as opposed to contacting their employer, to contact the insurance company and speak with them. Yes.
And some employers do actually have ADA employers, or they have an office for ADA, depending on the size of the company. And that it's important to really make sure that you're keeping in touch with them as well, because if they don't know, that can work against you in your job, where you might have absences that accumulate and then you're out of a job. Exactly
right. Yes.
Let's see, I'm gonna go over and check the live feed to see if we've got some questions. I know sometimes my messenger will blow up when I'm not looking. Oh my gosh. Let's see. In there, that's good. There we go. Here's fun. Oh, okay. We've got a question here. Can you explain what back pay is, please?
Back pay. Back pay is the money that you would have earned if you had won your case. So say, for instance, I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, I filed a disability claim for you, Amanda, if I filed it back in January of 2020, okay? We filed a disability claim for you in January of 2020. You get approved March of 2023. Because you filed your claim back in January of 2020, the money between January 2020 and March of 2023 that you would have gotten while you're waiting for this answer from Social Security between January of 2020 up until now. They gave you an answer, almost 2.5 years later. Okay, you're approved your disability. All that money that you would have gotten from the time that you file your claim that's what back pay is. Okay. That's the money, and what normally happens, Social Security will send you a letter letting you know what your back pay is. And again, Social Security we get paid out of that money that you've accumulated over that 2.5 year time period. The balance will go to you. as the claimant. You will get your monthly benefit amount, which is separate from the back pay. You will get a lump sum amount from Social Security for the back pay amount. And what is that like? What is that 12 by 12, 24, about 28 months of monthly benefits. So say you get $1,000 a month is going to be your normal monthly benefit amount. So all those thousands for that, I hope I'm explaining this well.
Yeah, no,
That
makes sense.
$1,000 a month that I'm just throwing an amount out there that you would normally get would be multiplied times the 28 months that you've been waiting, and that would be considered your back pay. And you would get that from Social Security. It's different for SSI as opposed to SSDI. SSDI, they give it all to you in one lump sum. SSI, because that's a welfare type form of Social Security disability. I just knocked it.
Someone's at my door. It's okay. I never answered anyhow.
Okay. SSI, because it's a welfare form of disability, an SSI applicant can only get a certain amount. So they split their back pay up into 3 different amounts. They'll give them an amount when they first win. 6 months later, they'll give them the second third of that back pay. And 6 months after that, they'll give them the balance of that back pay.
Okay, great.
So basically, back pay is based on the date that you file your claim.
Okay. Someone is really at my door, and I'm really not going to answer. They can wait.
Right.
Okay. And here's a question that I received. It might seem, well, I'll just throw it out there. They want to know, do I have to have a doctor's note to apply for disability?
You don't have to have a doctor's note. You want to have medical records.
Yes.
To increase your chances greatly of winning your disability claim. If your doctor wants to do a narrative speaking to the fact that you are disabled and they believe that your condition warrants you getting disability, there's always a plus. Especially if it's coming from your treating physician, somebody that sees you on a regular basis. We call those narratives or medical source statements. If they want to do something like that, that can greatly increase your chances of winning, because the judge or Social Security looks at, this is the person that sees this person medically on a regular basis, so they know their medical condition better than anyone else. And for a doctor to do a narrative or a medical source statement means that they truly do believe that you are disabled and deserve to get your disability. So it is a plus, yes.
Yes. So we'll make this our last question unless I see another one come in. Is there such thing as partial disability?
There is a such thing as partial disability. We talked about that a bit at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Partial disability, from what I'm getting from that question, is if you want to work part-time, you can do that. You just want to make sure that you do not go over that 25 hours that I spoke about earlier. And that you do not want to go over a certain amount of money, income monthly. Each state is different. Like I said, here in Georgia, it's $1,470 a month that you can make gross a month and still get your disability and work those 25 hours. But each state is different. It's based on, what the earnings are in that particular state. But here in Georgia, it is $1,470. So the Social Security considers that partial disability. Okay. Where you're working part-time, you're not a full-time employee because of your disability. You can get partial disability, yes.
Okay, very good to know. And this is a nuance that someone had a question on. Do you need a doctor to back you up to get disability, or will just medical records help?
Well, where are the medical records coming from? Wouldn't they be coming?
Yeah.
They would have to be coming from some type of doctor. Yeah.
That is exactly it. Yes.
So the medical records come from the doctor. So yes, the more you have, the better. Yeah. You want to make sure you have consistent medical treatment from your treating physician or from any specialist that you might need to, to prove your case.
Yeah. And like you had said before, throw it all out there, throw everything. The more you have to support this, the better your chances.
That's exactly right. The more medical evidence you have, the better. The better, yes.
And this one, I've gotten several questions relating to this. I think this is a really good question to dive into, in terms of, well, okay, I have a diagnosis of long COVID. I had an adverse reaction to the vaccine, and now I have an allergy to the sun, and I can't go outside. I can go outside only at night, along with a host of other health problems. Can I apply for SSDI since I cannot work? And I think that's,
Uh, if you can't, that's what disability is.
yeah.
I'm too sick to work.
Mhm.
So I would say yes. I mean, of course, to answer that question specifically, would I need to ask some more questions from that person? Yes. But generally speaking, based on what they said, I would say yes, they can apply for their disability.
Yeah, and I think that gets back to
Definitely.
the crux of like the problems we had with long COVID at the
Mhm,
first.
mhm.
It's not that diagnosis of long COVID, it's all the things that it's causing. That is
Mhm.
what we're looking at.
Right. And that's what Social Security is I'm telling you, that's what Social Security is definitely looking at in every COVID long hauler case that I've represented to Social Security. They're not looking at COVID, that you have COVID long hauler. They're looking at the underlying conditions that this illness has caused, which are numerous and which are
Yeah,
consistent.
exactly.
It's and
Exactly.
I think that's really important to say. It's the
Mhm.
consistency. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of done free consultations to a lot of COVID long haulers, and there's a consistency in the health problems that they have, and a lot of that is documented in the medical
Yeah.
records, and that's what Social Security is looking at. I can't say this enough times
Yeah.
how I have seen such an increase in the chances of winning for COVID long haulers, that when I first, when I got my first client, I can remember my first COVID long hauler client. It was an uphill battle.
Yeah.
I won it, but it was after going to the appeals council,
Yeah.
which is going to take even more time than those first initial stages. But now Social Security is giving it a second glance, and they're really a lot more understanding about approving clients with COVID long haulers. So we're winning a lot more than we were, and I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So
Uh,
don't think just because this is a new diagnosis, a
yeah.
new thing for Social Security, a new thing for the doctors, don't be hopeless and think that you can't win. You can. As I've shared with Amanda over the months, I've won a lot of COVID long hauler cases, and you
Yeah.
can win yours too.
Yeah.
Don't give
And
up.
something we've said from the beginning is that someone has to go through the jungle, machete in hand, starting that
Yes,
path. And with each
yes,
person, that path is more defined. It gets better for the
yes,
people who come after. It
exactly.
really stinks to go first, but
I know
that's what we've got to do.
it does. You're right, but you have to think about it. It's new. It's new for everybody. Just like other diseases were, or disabilities were new. They had to pave their way too.
Yeah.
There were times like lupus, for instance. I think I mentioned this the last
Yeah.
time we had
Uh-huh.
a COVID long hauler town hall. I mean, back in Social Security didn't recognize lupus as an illness. Now it's one of their illnesses. They automatically, if you have lupus and you have medical evidence to prove it, your chances of getting approved are just like that.
Yeah.
COVID long hauler will reach that point at some time. It's just going to take
Absolutely.
time because it's new.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I guess we can make this the last one. And this is a great question. Can you get disability if you can't do your current job, such as a doctor or a lawyer, but you might be able to do other types of work?
Well, uh,
Oops.
if you're working full time in any job, even if it's a lesser job, that because if you go to disability and file your disability claim, and you worked as an attorney, say before, um, if you tell the judge, or if you tell Social Security that you can work in another job, they're going to, of course, say, go get that other job.
Yeah.
You know, again, disability means that you have an illness that causes you not to be able to work at all, or is going to end in death, one or the other. That's
Yeah.
Social Security's definition of disability. And even though, of course, they allow partial disability for you to work part-time if you can, but to have another job as opposed to having your previous job, they would not consider that a disability, no,
Yeah.
because you're working.
Yep.
just in a different, in a different job, a different capacity.
Oh, here's one last one. Okay, this is a good one. Back pay is the date you filed or the date you became disabled.
Back pay again, it's according to whether it's SSI or
Yep.
SSDI. SSDI is the date you became disabled. Okay? SSDI, remember, is disability for those who have worked and paid into the system. SSI is the date of filing. Okay. So you're not going to, and it's like that because SSI is a welfare program. They're not going to, that's government money that they're paying to those people. So they're not going to go back as far as a person who has SSDI who has paid into the system because they're getting their money. SSI, they're getting government money. So they're not going to go back as far as SSDI to pay you SSI benefits or SSI back pay, I should say.
I'm going to check my messages one last time just to see. Okay, I think I'm going to call it good. So actually, let me check Gmail one last time. I never know. I get messages everywhere, and I understand because it's especially when you're dealing with cognitive issues, it can just be, where am I sending this message?
Yes.
So that's why I check out. I try to get them to send it to the Gmail account, but it doesn't, that's okay. That's okay. But I don't see any more. So I just want to thank you again, Beryl. Do you have any parting thoughts for us?
My parting thought would be, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to the town hall.
Absolutely. Thank
you. I really appreciate that. And my thought is, if you have the thought, I want to tell this to people who haven't filed their disability claim. If you're cautious and have the thought that maybe I won't get approved for my disability, I want you to think about maybe I will get approved for it.
Yes.
Think positive about it. Find you an advocate, find you an attorney. I would suggest not doing it yourself, but finding somebody to help you traverse through it because it can be complicated. It can be difficult. You can not know what to do, or you can do something that maybe you shouldn't have done. But find you an advocate or a disability attorney that can help you. And if you feel that you are truly disabled, you should file for your disability benefits. You deserve it. Like I said, it's your time. You need some help. Go get that help.
Yeah, that's what it's there for. That's why it exists.
That's why it's there. That's why it's there. Don't feel bad. A lot of people feel bad about filing for a disability. Don't. I mean, you've paid into the system. You've worked. Now you need the help. Go get the help. It's there.
Yeah.
And don't worry about the length of the time it's going to take to go through the process. It's going to that time's going to pass by anyway. So you might as well be working towards a goal of getting your disability.
Spot on, Beryl. Thank you again. So
thank you, Amanda.
We'll have to do this again because it's just been so helpful for so many. So thank you for your time and your compassion and everything you bring.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You're a wonderful person.
Well, I try. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.